What's up guys, to the behind the scenes of our new short film before the show. Today on the behind the scenes we'll be showing all the little aspects that went into this film. Now just to say, this wasn't a big film or anything. It took 2 hours to film and it really wasn't a big project, but still I like to show all that went into it, so let's begin. Now the film was really not about story or anything. As you can see, there was no storyline to it at all. The film was mainly just there for 2 reasons. One was because we started up a new channel a year ago about gaming called Meow Games, which I really wanted to do a video about it, so we made it, but we just ended up never really making it. But I also just wanted to test out my cinematography because this was all about the lights being in the shots. So even though they're film lights, they're known as practicals, which if you don't know what a practical is, it's like a lamp in the scene. You can have your lamp in the shot, but if you have a big LED light that is lighting your actor up and it's not meant to be there, that's definitely not a practical. So we basically used film lights as practicals, which in my opinion was really cool. So that was basically the main idea of the film. So we just wrapped up filming before the show. Now of course, filming it, we needed to make sure that we had enough lights because we wanted to give it the vibe of, you know, sort of an overly expensive set, but you know, stuff looking expensive, but you know, if you really look into it, you can easily tell it's DIY. So it's sort of like trying to give a materialistic look, but in a DIY way. So, you know, it's sort of changing around the look. But as you can see, we have 3 main lights. No, we are not doing the 3-point setup because we need something different, but as you can see, it sort of is though, but we're not using backlights. So as you can see here, we have just a little fluorescent light. Let me just get there. And that is our main light. It bounces off the wall and then it creates the main light onto our faces. Over here we have just a little Chinese ball. If you don't know what that is, it's basically just go to a Chinese shop and then get one of those balls, throw a fluorescent light in there, and bam. Just make sure that the fluorescent light you throw in there doesn't flicker, because that can be pretty bad, but softens up nicely and it fills in the shadows perfectly for this film. And as you can see over here, I can't touch it like the rest, but it is a tungsten light. And the reason why I can't touch it is because these things get crazy hot. But that was just making a warm background, just to make the background just a little bit more interesting. Now, as I said, the reason why we made this was for a new channel that we called Meow Games, which basically it's just a gaming channel. Now, I'm not sponsoring it in any way. I'm just saying that there is a new channel, so if you are into gaming, you can go and check it out. But as I said, not sponsoring it, but I just wanted to make a video for a new channel. And the reason why I wanted to make it, because there's very rare moments where you actually create a new channel. Usually people have 1 YouTube channel or 2. But since we created a new one, I just wanted to make it like, you know, there's actually something big that went into it other than just making videos. So that was the reason behind making this film. Now for pre-production, we did the same as we did for basically every single film that we made for the past 2 years, which was we used an app called Shot Lister. If you don't know what Shot List is, it's a way of making really easy shot lists on an iOS device, which they are also testing out making it for Android. So if you have an Android phone, just wait a few more months and you will get it there. But basically the way it works is you just create your shots, you say what gear you're going to use, for example, slider, Steadicam and all that. You can create colors so that, you know, for example, if it's a Steadicam that doesn't have a quick release plate and you're using a quick release plate, it's going to take a while to put it onto the Steadicam. So instead of having to waste time, then you only do shots with Steadicam first and then you do those shots so that you don't waste time unloosening a quick release plate and all that. So really helpful. Tells you all the lens stuff and all that as well. Really helpful, and it only goes for $10 or around $15 depending on where you buy it and if there is a sale or not. So really recommend it, and I use it for basically every one of my films. Now production, as I said, was really short. It was only a 2-hour production, which considering a lot of my other films is really little, because usually a film that is created by one man usually takes a really long time, because you know you have to reach for the lens and let's try and get focused like that, really hard sometimes. But this was a very quick shoot and it was only like 15 shots that we had, so really wasn't that much or really hard to do. So yeah, that was production. Now editing, I did the same as most films. I just edited in Premiere Pro CC and I did all color grading in Speed Grade CC, which was just basic methods of how to edit it together and color grade. Now, as I said, for color we use Adobe Speed Grade CC, which in my opinion is really nice. The reason why I say it's really nice, because in Premiere Pro you can get a quicker grade, but in Speed Grade you can really refine and make sure that all the colors in your scene are great by using secondary color correction, which we didn't use much in this film, but it's really helpful. And it really helps to get that perfect look, and it's a 10-channel color grading, which if you don't know what that means, is basically just make sure that you can't break your colors. So that is the reason why there is no curves in there, which if you don't know what curves is, it's the contrast things, it's that line that you basically, it's the diagonal line where you just change around your exposure. And the reason why that's not in there is because if you add 3 points and you move that middle point, then the colors break up and all that. Well, that's why they added 3 points in color correction, because you just can't break the color. You can try as much as you want, really works well. And the way that we did this was we used a warm LUT, which I know people say using a LUT is unprofessional because it's using other people's work in your work. Look at professional color grading people, and they would say the exact same. They use LUTs as starting points. They don't use it as the final result. And that's what I did. I used a warm LUT, which was sort of a film emulating LUT, but it was very warm. And from there, I noticed it was a little bit uncontrasted, and it also was a little way too warm for the shot, because we anyway had it very warm in camera. So it just made it warm. So what we did we just tweaked it around. Of course, we had to match all the shots, which we used the 2-way to match it up, and the 3-way. So we just made sure that we could get it all good. And the way that we tweaked it was we just added more contrast, and we of course took out a little bit of the warmth by using the temperature knob. And that was basically it. We just made sure the exposure was also good, and that was as far as it went for that. And we also just desaturated it just a little bit because it was really overly saturated, which I didn't find really good for this. Now, as you guys know, it was basically just music playing. There was no real sounds. The only sound that there was the tapping of the microphone, which the way that we did that was, well, we tapped the microphone. We just recorded from the blue Snowball mic of tapping it, and we had to put it at like 6 dB just to make sure that sound really, like, you know, pushes into the audience, which depending on what sound source you're hearing it from, it can actually sound distorted, which we just had to deal with that. But I don't know how to properly do it. I think you have to mess with the EQ in around the certain ranges, so to make sure that it doesn't break, because if you hear it on some speakers, it would sound as poof, poof, but on some other speakers it would be like, and it really didn't sound good. So yeah, that was kind of an annoying sound effect that we did, but it was still pretty cool. And there was no extra sounds added to make it sound more real big and all that. It was just really plain and simple sound effect. Now for the gear, we used the Canon EOS 60D for the camera. The lens was the Canon EF-S 17 to 85 f4 to 5.6 lens. Doesn't provide too sharp of an image, but use unsharp mask and post, and you get a really great image. For the microphone, which was the tapping one, if you didn't know, that was the blue Snowball mic. We just used a plain normal tripod as usual. And the firmware that we used on the camera, which might sound stupid because usually you just use stock firmware, we actually used the Magic Lantern firmware so that we could get the crop bar, so that we can make sure we're not, you know, cropping anything that doesn't need to be cropped. So that was basically it, guys. If you did enjoy this video of before the show, behind the scenes, and if you didn't check it out, link below. So please comment, rate, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the film and this behind the scenes. And until next time, guys, in the next video, we'll see you sexy people then.